A cinnamon roll, also known as a cinnamon bun, cinnamon swirl, or a cinnamon Danish, is a sweet roll commonly served in Northern Europe, mainly in Nordic countries, but also in Austria and Germany, as well as North America. Hey guys, welcome back to Cooking with Dr Mehtaverse, where in today's video, we will be taking a look at cinnamon rolls. Do you know October 4th is promoted as the Cinnamon Roll Day? So whenever I think of cinnamon rolls, I usually think of Cinnabon. It's a sinful dessert.
It's a beautiful bun
filled with a buttery filling of cinnamon and sugar. Most of the times, it would be too much of a hassle to make at home, but is it so? Not really. Let's have a glaze at the ingredients. 2 cups of flour, salt as per requirement, 1/8 cup granulated sugar, half cup powdered sugar, half cup lukewarm milk, 2 tablespoon powdered cinnamon, 2 teaspoon instant yeast, half cup curd, 50 gram unsalted butter, 75 gram cream cheese and 2 teaspoon vanilla essence. We will be starting our process of making the cinnamon rolls by making the dough for the rolls. For the dough, we will be needing flour, butter, milk, yeast, granulated sugar, salt and curd. We will start by taking a large bowl in which we will add our flour, salt and a pinch of salt. Using a whisk, we can combine our ingredients in a large bowl, making sure to thoroughly mix all the ingredients. Once that is done, we can add in about half of our butter, about 25 grams of it, to the mixture and try to incorporate into the mixture. We can use our whisk, but it is better to combine using our hands as the butter will get stuck between the wires of the whisk. Once satisfied that the butter has been incorporated to the best of our efforts, we can take our yeast and add it to our lukewarm milk. Mind you, not boiling hot but lukewarm, and again incorporate the yeast well into the milk. There is no need to wait to incorporate our wet and dry ingredients together since we are using instant yeast, but in case you feel that your yeast is inactive, it would be best to wait a few minutes and check whether the milk bubbles. When we are sure of the activity, we can incorporate the wet and dry ingredients together and start kneading them into a shaggy mass. As earlier, we can use either the whisk or our hands, but with our hands it is usually easier to form a dough. Once a shaggy mass stage is reached, we can add in our curd to the mass tablespoon by tablespoon and finally get a final dough which looks like so. But still we are not done, and toss some flour onto our workbench and knead the dough into a smooth dough ball onto the workbench. Once that is done, set the dough into the bowl for resting and putting a damp cloth or a plastic wrap on top, waiting for about an hour for the dough to double in size. So we can now set aside our bowl and work on the mixture that will be placed inside the rolls. For that, we will be requiring a medium bowl, powdered sugar and cinnamon. Add about 1/4 cup of sugar and cinnamon into the bowl and combine thoroughly. Just as simple as that, nothing more. Once we're done waiting about an hour, our dough would have expanded and looks like this. Now we can toss some flour onto the workbench, plop our dough onto it and punch out the air that is trapped inside it. Then we can lightly flour the dough and roughly shape it into a square or a rectangle and start rolling out. Now I am not a professional baker and neither are you, I believe, so don't worry if you mess up the rolling of the dough. Try to make it into an even square or a rectangle, but if you fail to do so, you can always cut out the shape from the rolled dough and roll the remainder back into a bowl and start with that piece again later. Once we are happy with the thickness and the shape of the dough, spread softened butter onto the dough and sprinkle the sugar cinnamon mixture on top of the buttered. Once we are done, we can begin to roll our dough, trying to fold its edge onto itself and get a nice medium-sized log in case you split your dough into 2 like me. We can prepare our baking dish by applying butter to the bottom of the dish and place our rolls onto the dish. Now when cutting the roll, remember to not apply pressure onto the dough. Instead, using a tooth knife and a back and forth motion, simply cut the log. When you apply pressure, rolls will become pinched at the edges and not look like proper rounded rolls throughout their entire height. Once we are done, we can cover the prepared dish with a damp cloth and set it aside for about an hour, letting the rolls expand to about 1.5 times their original size before baking them in an oven. During the time our cinnamon rolls take to expand it to 1.5 times their original size, we can use that time to prepare our cream cheese frosting for the cinnamon rolls. For that, we will require a medium bowl, powdered sugar, cream cheese, 3 tablespoons of milk and vanilla essence. We start by beating our cream cheese in a bowl, adding in powdered sugar to the beaten cream, incorporating it in completely. Then little by little we add in our milk and mix and add and mix, repeating this step till we get a glaze consistency which is neither too runny nor too thick. Once that is done, add in the vanilla essence to the glaze and incorporate it in fully, and then set the glaze in the refrigerator to cool till our cinnamon rolls bake and cool down and are finally ready to be frosted. So now that I have waited an hour's worth of time for the cinnamon rolls to expand in size, let's have a look what's underneath the damn cloth, shall we? This is what the cinnamon rolls should look like after we're done waiting. It looks soft, fluffy, plump like a pillow. Our rolls will now go into the oven at 180 degrees Celsius for about 15 to 20 minutes or till nice and golden brown. Carefully remove the baked rolls out of the oven and set them aside to cool. And with that done, our cinnamons are looking pretty golden brown. Looks like you just want to dive right in and eat them up. I advise you to wait, they are still pretty hot and might burn the roof of your mouth. And we've got to wait about 15 minutes to let it cool down before we can spread our frosting over there.
One eternity later.
And we can now proceed with our frosting. Simply pour our frosting on top of the baked goodies, making sure to cover every nook and cranny of the cinnamon rolls and try and use up all of the frosting. And I'll just grab one roll for myself and keep the rest aside for now. Well, there you have it. This is my recipe for making an eggless cinnamon. Before we jump into the taste testing, let's have a look at the cross section, shall we? The separate layers look good, but now how is the taste? This is such an amazing tasting dish. The flavor of cinnamon and sugar and vanilla just go well together. The recipe which I have given you is not overtly sweet, although if you want to make it a bit sweeter, you can try changing the amount of sugar that I have added. But this is the perfect amount of sweetness that I like, and it just tastes amazing. And this has definitely joined the Clean Play Club right in front of your eyes. Thanks for watching, folks. I'll see you guys in the next video.